And while you were speaking, so many thoughts are going through my mind about challenges. And one devotee said, challenges are really opportunities for inner growth and becoming closer to the Swami within. And I remember Swami saying, do you think I would confront you with pain? Would there not a reason for it? Open your heart to pain as you do now for pleasure, for it is my will wrought by me for your own good. So the lesson from what you've said is the ability of the aspirant to see joy and sorrow with equanimity, with the same equal-mindedness. But many of us are not in the same stage of development or have that inner courage or perspective to deal with it as you just described. There are certain devotees who, when the challenges come, they pray for Swami to remove it because they're unable to deal with it on their own. And as you said, sometimes the challenges drive us to the point where it opens our eyes to what is really important in life, what is our true perspective. It drives us closer to intensify sadhana and spiritual practices. And had those challenges not been there, we would have taken God for granted or go about our lives without being aware and conscious of our true purpose. Which leads to another question that is related to these opportunities for growth. And that is the grace of the Guru, the grace of the avatar. And I remember Swami saying effort is proportional to grace. But also, are there situations where the grace of the avatar descends upon us even without making effort? The mere fact that Swami can take a physical form and come amongst mankind is really true grace and the love for humanity. So can you chat a little bit about that? Grace in proportion to personal effort, as opposed to grace without us making any effort at all, just flowing from the avatar's love for humanity.
About this point of people praying to Swami when they are in difficulty, right? I recall going through this portion in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna makes a very important point. Most devotees might be familiar with that, where he categorizes devotees as Artha, Artharthi, Jignasu, and Jnani. He says there are some devotees who come to me when they are in pain. There are some devotees who come to me when they need something, when they need success or wealth or something like that. Then there are some devotees who come to me for higher understanding. The Jignasa is one who comes for spiritual insight. And then Swami says the Jnani is the highest, who has nothing to ask for. So whenever we hear this, our first thing is, oh, I should not be in a lower level devotee. I should be like a higher level devotee. Like, as you said, some devotees are still in that state where we are still asking from Swami. But we don't realize how precious it is even to be in that lowest level. Because that is what Krishna says in the Gita. He says, after living hundreds of births as being a good human being, without harming others, without hurting others, you have led a good moral life. You come to a point where you think of God. The normal course of action in our life is, if we need something, we work towards it. I want more money, I work harder. If I want to clear an exam, I study harder, right? So we always look at it as my actions are the input and whatever results come out of my actions. somewhere in this journey, you pause and say that my actions alone are not enough. What comes to me is not merely because of my effort. There is a component which is beyond my, which is not in my scope. That is when you turn to God, right? Just as I always give this example, there are many things that we do through the day. We never pray to Swami for that. I'm hungry, I eat. I'm thirsty, I drink water. If I feel tired, I go and sleep. I don't, for every moment, pray to Swami that, Swami, I'm thirsty, give me water, give me water. Because that is within the scope of my action, right? If I have a headache and if I can put a tablet and the headache goes, I'm fine. It's within the scope of my action. But if it is some disease which cannot be cured by any of my actions, the doctor says that it is beyond us, then we immediately turn to God. Because we know that it is now not within the scope of my action or effort. So even to turn to God and say that, Swami, I'm in pain, get me out of this. Swami, I'm in trouble, come and save me. It comes after so many lifetimes. That wisdom that I am not merely taken care of by my own actions and the actions of people around me. Right? So I think that is the starting point. But eventually, slowly you realize that the component of your effort is not as much as you thought it was. Even for the simplest of acts that you do, even for the simple act of me being able to speak like this. Thoughts are forming in my head. They are getting translated into language, and I'm able to voice them in a manner that it can be understood. I'm a student of chemistry, and I can tell you trillions of reactions are happening right now in the body to enable this simple act. And if I were to replicate or reproduce even one of those reactions in the lab, I know the setup that it requires. One biochemical reaction, if I have to do it in my chemistry lab, the apparatus that is required for that, the amount of energy that is required for that, the amount of chemicals that are required for that, and at the end of it, your efficiency is not anywhere near 100%. Today, it is happening a million times more in the body right now as I'm speaking to you. The more and more you turn to God, the more and more you realize through these small acts, Swami's grace, I think we come to understand that I am doing absolutely nothing out of my effort. I often say this, if someone has got a kidney failure and the process of this kidney, which is so small in your body, right? It's the size of your palm or maybe even smaller than that. To replace the function of this single organ in your body, we know what it takes. The dialysis equipment that is required to replace the function of this single organ in your body. But we never stop to think that, if my kidney fails today, can I command it to work? If I think that I'm doing everything by my will, can I say, hey, kidney, get up and start working? That is when I realize actually I don't even have control over my body. Forget about what happens in my life. If something happens in the media center here, we work a lot with cameras, right? When you study the working of a camera, how a video camera works, how the focusing of a camera works, and then when you go and study the human eye, you will understand what a marvelous and remarkable organ this is. And it has been functioning without making any noise. To replicate the abilities of a human eye in a camera is not even possible till today with all the advances that we have had. And if today something happens and I'm not able to see, will I be able to command my eye to become all right? So when you actually start paying attention to all of this, let us say going back to the same example of me writing that entrance exam and clearing. From being stupid enough to think that maybe I was intelligent and I didn't know. After all, I wrote the exam and I cleared. I was stupid enough to think egoistically like that. Today, after the many experiences that Swami has given us through this life, I can look back at that moment and I can say that it was zero effort, it was 100% grace. Swami just used that one moment to pull me closer to him. And similarly, I think in every activity of our life, we will begin understanding that. As a parent, if I'm bringing up my child, I will know that it is zero my effort, 100% his grace. So then the question comes, then should we do anything at all? Right? If my grace component, my self-effort is of no use, then why should I act at all? That is when I think all your actions become part of your prayer. Initially, when we started off with, we say that, Swami, this much I can take care of my own actions. I'm not going to trouble you. And when we want Swami's help, Swami would say this, you go for an exam, do your best, and then leave the rest to Swami. Right? That's the philosophy that we've all been taught. So we put in a lot of effort, and then at the end of it, we say, Swami, I've put in my part, now put in your part, and let's get through this together. Eventually, I think you come to a point where the effort that you make is only to please Swami. It is not to get the outcome that you're looking for. As a parent, your parenting becomes a part of your offering to Swami. As a person in the organization, you dispensing your duty becomes a part of the offering that you make to Swami. Let us say you organize a youth meet or a conference. You are absolutely sure that if it is going to go on well, it is Swami's grace. But my part or my duty is to make my offering to Swami. At the end of it, when everything goes fine, you won't say that I did and so it happened. You will be absolutely sure that it was Swami who did, and he allowed me to use this opportunity to make my prayer in the form of this effort. And I feel that is the journey that every devotee is being taken to. And whether we want it or not, Swami is going to take us to that final stage where you are absolutely certain that he alone is the doer and you are merely an instrument who has been put there, and Swami is going to act through you. Swami is going to speak through you. Swami is getting things done through you. And you will look at every action that you do merely as part of my prayer to Swami.
So, Brother Prem, from your understanding of Swami's teachings, what would you define grace as if you had to give a definition of it?
That I'll have to think about that.
If you had, yeah, if you
Let's
had
put
to,
it this way.
yeah.
Let's put it this way. The whole idea of me and Swami is an illusion, right? There is no devotee, there is no God. That is the final understanding that all of us will have to come to. That there is no Prem, there is no Swami, there is only Swami. Eventually, that is the idea we have to come to. But right now in our understanding, there is me and there is him. So I feel what I claim that I have done becomes my effort. What I acknowledge has not been done by me but has been done by him is grace. The closer and closer we move to this idea that there is no two, there is only one. There is no doership at all. There is no effort at all. There is no my actions or my ego claiming any of it. So more and more, Swami becomes bigger and bigger in this philosophy of I and him, as the Mahavakyas of the Veda declare, Aham Brahmasmi or Tattvamasi. There is no individual will at all. You come closer and closer to the idea that, I mean, even what I claimed as my actions were actually his grace. So grace is only that which we define as Swami's doing. I don't know if that conveyed what I was trying to convey.
It's very interesting because I remember reading an experience where a devotee was traveling from Bangalore to Puttaparthi, got in a massive motor vehicle accident where the vehicle overturned, but the devotee came out of the vehicle unscathed, but not even a scratch. And when he went to Puttaparthi, Swami asked him, well, how are you? How was the accident? And he said, Swami, I came out and I was feeling well, but he called out the name of Swami while the vehicle was toppling in the air. And Swami said, do you know why it is I saved you? Swami said, I screened your karmic bank account and you had a tremendous surplus. And because of that, I intervened to save you. So this idea of grace and effort is a very interesting one. And the way that you shared it is very interesting as well.
I'll probably tell you another story which is very similar. Not a story, an exchange with Swami. We often have this question, right? Swami's university, as I was describing in the beginning, has an entrance exam. There is a cutoff. Even if you have to be called for the exam, you should have a certain percentage in your school. Then there is a interview where you're asked questions from the subject. So a lot of people ask this question, is Swami's college merit-based? So if you have to get in through Swami's college, is it only based on merit or is there some influence involved? So when you come to Swami, the question becomes a little different. Is becoming a student of Swami based on merit or is it based on grace? Right? Am I here because I'm a good student or am I here because Swami gave grace? So this debate was happening in front of Swami one day. Right? The students of the MBA program were around Swami and they were asking, because it is very dangerous for the world to be told that it is not based on merit. Because if you say that a university admission is not based on merit, it can mean any number of things. Right? Influence can come in, money can come in. Or if you say it's based on grace, not everybody looks at Swami the same way. They might say, oh, okay, so he just randomly picks people. And, you always think that any system that is based on merit is only a fair system. So this debate was happening in front of Swami, and there were some people who were holding the opinion that it is purely merit-based. So it is students who are good at their studies, who clear the exam. And there might have probably been some students who cleared the exam the hard way, right? Not everybody comes into the college like me. I know of classmates of mine who struggled for 2 years, who missed 1 year. They worked harder, they studied, they took classes from other students and to clear the exam, right? So people who have struggled like that and cleared, probably they said, Swami, it's merit-based. Swami heard the whole argument and Swami only had this to say. Swami said, but isn't merit also grace? If today you are an intelligent student, isn't that also the grace of God? Somebody who is of the same age as you, who's sitting in the same class, understands 50% of what you understand. What made you more intelligent than the other? It is understandable if your effort makes you more intelligent. But some of us are really, I've had classmates like that who are just intelligent by design, who could just remember more than others, who were just talented very naturally. So Swami is asking, where did that merit come from? Swami says, isn't that merit also grace? So that is one of the arguments, but coming back to the point that you were making, the importance of effort and grace, I think Swami makes it very, very clear. What I am trying to describe is the state where you are slowly sublimating your doership. But that will not happen till you actually start acting. Without you getting up and putting effort in some way, actions cannot be sublimated. So in the philosophical context in Vedanta, Swami, when he explains it, he says it this way. You have these three gunas that Swami speaks about: tamas, rajas, and sattva. The journey of any spiritual aspirant is to transcend all these three by reaching the sattva guna. So you raise yourself from tamas to rajas to sattva, and then you transcend all the gunas. Simply put, it means that you cannot not do anything and say that Swami is the doer. You have to start acting and then sublimate the action and then sublimate the doership. So that is what is raising from tamas to rajas and from rajas to sattva. So if you think that inaction is going to give you the idea that everything is grace, Swami says, no, it doesn't work that way. There's a very beautiful episode which one of my classmates once shared with me. This was before he became a student of Swami. He was part of a youth group in the organization. So they would do a lot of seva in the Swami's organization that they were part of. And Swami was very gracious towards this group because Swami would physically interact with them whenever they would come to Prashanti Nilayam. And whenever they had the opportunity, they would tell Swami that, Swami, we did this work. Right? We did this medical camp, or we did this training for underprivileged children, or we went out to a hospital and we served there. So they found that whenever they would say something like this, Swami was very happy. So as a youth group, what they did, they said, oh, the more we do, the happier Swami will be. Right? So what they would do is they would do all of these activities so that every time they come to Swami for darshan, they will be in a position to tell Swami that, Swami, we did these activities, just to see the smile on Swami's face and the happiness that they gave Swami by saying that. So eventually they started bringing photographs of the seva that they were doing, and they would show it to Swami, and Swami will look at it and Swami will be very happy. So this encouragement that Swami gave them by just showing how happy he was by the effort that they were putting made them do much more and more and more and more. So at one point, Swami had called them for an interview, and I think they had got a huge album. I might be a little fuzzy with the details, but they got this huge album with the different activities they had done. And they were showing the whole album to Swami, and they were saying, Swami, we did this medical camp in this place. We did an eye camp in this school. We did a, Narayan Seva here. We did this, we did that, we did this, we did that. Everything they were saying is, we did this, we did this, we did this, we did this. Swami was going through the whole album of photographs. And at the end of it, Swami said, did you all do so much? You all have done so much. And at the end of it, Swami said, then what did I do? He said, you did all this, what did I do? And it occurred to them the stupidity of what they were actually conveying to Swami. And they all caught Swami's feet and they said, Swami, you did. All of this you did through us. And that state of understanding that it is all his doing through us will not come unless you actually start doing something. Right? Without doing, you will not come to that understanding. So Swami actually, it's a very beautiful sequence of things. Swami gave them the incentive of speaking to them, showing them that he was happy with what they were doing, so that they would take up activity, so that they would put effort. And as they were perfecting that effort and coming to Swami and saying that, Swami, we did all this, then Swami was teaching them the way to sublimate the effort that they've already done. To the point where you say that we are not doers. right? We are only here dispensing his grace. I think that is the greatest lesson that Swami is teaching all of us through seva, isn't it? So for that is why self-effort is so important. And that is what I feel Swami means when he says that without effort, there cannot be grace. Because without you standing up and doing what you're supposed to do, you cannot sublimate action. From tamas, you cannot transcend sattva. From tamas, you have to raise yourself to rajas, which means you have to become active. You have to do work. And having done work, you offer it to Swami and say that, Swami, you have done everything. I think that is the journey that Swami is putting us through in the name of, from effort going to grace.
Brother Prem, that was really, really inspiring and beautiful. And what a beautiful example of those students or devotees with the seva. And what an answer. I think that's such a powerful lesson for all of us, that we have to make the effort. And in making the effort, it has to transition into we becoming instruments through which his work is being done. And it reminds me of, I was looking at a Sri Satya Sai Media Center interview that you and I believe Bishu was doing. And you all were talking about a student who wrote an exam and would have gotten about 48 or 49 marks. But the teacher, knowing the student and the effort, would add on that extra mark of grace to allow him to pass, as opposed to a student who would have gotten 20 marks. They would not give him 30 more to pass based on the effort, And it was being explained as to how grace can work in proportion to effort. So very, 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 very beautiful answer and conversation. Very, very interesting. So, Brother Prem, what does Sai Baba mean to you today?
Again, that's not a question that can be answered easily. I don't think I can tell you what Swami means to me, but I can tell you one thing, that because Swami is in our life means something to us. Because Swami is in our life, there is meaning to whatever we are doing. There is meaning to going back to that, whatever efforts we are putting, whatever we are striving. So it is very difficult to define Swami's meaning in our life. I feel it is because he is there is meaning to anything in life. So that is why it is very difficult to define Swami's meaning in my life. I look at myself, I'm sure, as just as any number of thousands of youth, and I'm sure even you'll agree with this. There are many times you look at your own life and you wonder what would have happened to me otherwise. As a youth, Swami stepped into my life. What would have the terror of thinking how I would have wasted this life if not for Swami? In what pursuits this life would have been frittered away? And that very thought fills you with so much gratitude. So much gratitude that he has given a purpose to this life. He has given a meaning to this life. He has made this life worth living. Right? So it's very, very difficult to define what he means. There is nothing else I can point to and say that he is that. Right? I can't say he's mother. I can't say he's father. I can't say he's friend. I can't even say he's God, because I don't know God. Swami, I think, holds that very, 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 very unique place in our life. Because he is, everything makes sense.
Thank you very much for sharing your perspective. So, Brother Prem, I remember an incident with Professor Kasturi many years ago when he was asking Swami for a mantra. And he went very close to Swami's ears. Swami asked him, well, why do you want a mantra? And he said, Swami, I want to be near to you. And Swami asked him, well, how much nearer do you want to be? And then Swami said, I don't want you to be near to me. I want you to be dear to me. And then Swami also said, give me your availability and I will give you the ability. Can you kindly discuss or expand on these two particular statements? That I want you to be dear to me and give me your availability and I will give you the ability.
When you are physically close to Swami, a lot of our effort goes into trying to go closer, trying to get as many darshans as possible, and trying to get Swami's attention, Swami to speak to you. Much of our student life was spent in that, right? And we're, of course, grateful for that, because that sort of gave that enormous focus on Swami. But any number of times I've felt this when sitting in front of Swami. When one part of your mind is craving for more. I wish I was closer to Swami. I wish Swami spoke to me. I wish Swami called me for an interview, right? As devotees, I'm sure everyone has felt that. I wish I could get a line closer. And it would occur to me that what have I done with this closeness that I'm asking for more? How much have I utilized this nearness that I am confident that more nearness will give me something more? And there are many, many days when I've sat in front of Swami and looked at him, and with a feeling of pain and remorse that, Swami, you are in front of me, but somehow I am not able to take you. You are in front of me, but I feel you're not mine. I vividly recall a episode that happened in the Kulwant Hall. Again, a very, very small one. Swami was giving a discourse, and I was sitting in the audience. I'd graduated by then. In front of Swami were the students. All of them were paying apt attention to whatever Swami was saying. And at the end of it, I don't know what led to Swami saying this, but at the end of it, suddenly Swami said, students or boys, what do you want? Right? Swami was going to bless them with whatever they asked for. He said, boys, what do you want? And it was such a surprise that in one voice, the entire block said, Swami. All of the students together. And that was as a student, I felt very proud at that time, right? At least as students, we at least have this much sense that when Swami asks, what do you want? We should say Swami. So the entire block literally voiced out together. They said, Swami. And the next thing that Swami said was so beautiful. Swami said, I am ready. Swami said, I am ready. And literally Swami put out his hands and he said, I am ready. I am always ready. But you are not able to take me. So any number of times I remember sitting in front of Swami. It's not that we were so mature that we did not want to touch Swami's feet. We did not want to go close to Swami. That one part of you was always craving for that. But somewhere in the middle of all this craving for the physical Swami was this gnawing insight, which was telling that it is not this nearness that you really want. It is not this that you're actually coming for or craving for. And I could imagine that, sometimes Swami would sit in front of us for a pretty long time. We all have seen that 3 hours, 4 hours, and then something in the body starts aching, and then you become restless. So I used to wonder, if Swami gives himself 24 hours of the day to me, what is the guarantee I will not get restless? I will not get bored. The mind will not think of other things. So it is not that nearness. Of course, that nearness is what gave us so much. The idea of staying back here and spending as much time with Swami, having as many darshans as possible, that is what defined our life. But it also gave you that understanding that you have to take Swami and make him yours in a different way. I often would make this statement, and in a jocular sense, but there is a lot of meaning to it too. Generally in the world, people become seekers. They become sadhakas. And at the end of a lot of sadhana, you discover God. You find God, you have the darshan of God, or whatever it is. But most of our cases was the other way around. Because we found God, we became seekers. Because I found Swami, and because of this idea that what should I do to make him dear to me? What should I do to actually really take him? As Swami said, you're not able to take me. That turned us to seekers. That made us look around and say, what should I do to make Swami dear to me? What should I do to ensure that I am moving closer to Swami? And I think in that effort is why we turn to Swami's message. Is there something that we can find in that we can do to please Swami? What can I change about my life to please him? And I think it's a needless to say, it's one of the most beautiful journeys that is available for every student, every devotee, every person who comes to Swami. This effort of trying to make Swami yours, to really become near to him in the true sense, right? That is the difference between the nearness and dearness. So if even with the little bit of wisdom that Swami has driven into us, if you ask me to choose between nearness and dearness, I think any day it is going to be dearness. Swami would often point out a lot of things. Swami would say, this handkerchief is always next to me. This chair I'm always sitting on. We don't want to be an object that is close to Swami. Right? I mean, I'm not dismissing the fact that all of these objects may be some divine being which has earned that chance of being close to Swami. That aspect is always there. I always used to have this fear, Swami, you should give me something at a point in time when I'm able to receive it. If you give me and I'm not mature enough to receive it, then what you give goes waste. Swami would give this example of a vessel which is turned upside down when it is raining. It could rain cats and dogs, but not even a drop will be in that vessel. Swami would say, your heart is that vessel. You are constantly praying for grace, but you're not making the effort to turn the vessel upside up. So praying for nearness is that you constantly crave for that nearness and constantly crave even, not only that physical Swami, I want Swami's experiences. I want to feel Swami's presence. But if we are not turning that vessel, that transformation, if it is not happening, you run this risk of getting it when you're not prepared for it. I think we would rather have one drop when you're ready for it than have a torrent when you're not ready for it. I think that is the difference between wanting dearness or seeking that dearness over wanting nearness.
Very beautiful, Brother Prem. And coming out of what you said, how many of us really, really want God, what he's really come to give. And he says, many of you have come to me for petty tinsel and trash. But being the indulgent and loving avatar that he is, he says, I give you what you want so that you could want what I have come to give. And I remember an experience with a devotee in the interview room when Swami asked her, what do you want? And she said, Swami, I want liberation. And Swami said, you want it now? I give it to you now. And she said, no, 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 Swami. I have children and husband to look after. So beautifully put out that Swami is ready and willing to accept us and take us. Are we ready and willing to take him? What a beautiful, beautiful message. The next question deals with a statement that Swami made when he said, I am God, but you are God also. In a birthday message, he says that we must affirm, I am God, I'm not different from God. I am the infinite supreme, the one reality. I am Satchit Ananda Swarupa. I am Om Tat Sat Om. So literally, Swami is telling us, as you've said in your message, that we are divine, we are God, we are potential avatars. But how many of us really truly believe it to the core of our being, to the point where it manifests in our action? So can we discuss this statement of Swami a little bit, and how have you been able to internalize that statement to the point where it influences your life, your behavior, and your actions?
Looking at both the episodes that you narrated, the discourse that Swami says that this is what I've come to lead you to, your divine self. I often look at it this way, from the point of view of a journey of a devotee. You can see it as being twofold. One is self-transformation. The other is self-discovery. Self-transformation is when you transform the personality that you have come to live with. Right? I'm an individual. I might have had different habits, different approach to life, different things that I fancy in my life. But when I come to Swami, there is a change in my personality. I think that is the journey of self-transformation that Swami speaks about. That the Prem before Swami and the Prem after Swami should not be the same. The people around me should be able to see that, yes, there is something that has changed. Right? But the other journey that starts off after you have transformed enough is this journey of self-discovery. That when I say I did it, or I am so and so, what is the definition of this I? There are two ways in which you can attain this, if I could say. One is the normal way of maturing. There are a lot of habits in our childhood when we did as infants, which with age just drop away. Right? It actually didn't need any effort. You just had to grow up. Right? Our obsession with simple toys and obsession with simple objects. Life was so small, right? Simple things could make us unhappy. Simple things could make us very happy. With age, it changes. So in the path of sadhana, I feel there will come a time when everything just drops off. This idea that I am this body, this idea that I am so-and-so's son, I belong to this family. all of that will slowly fall off eventually. But I think what Swami is doing to us when he comes and tells us this, that you are essentially divine, Swami is giving us a truth that which we have not yet reached. When I reach that state of, I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this personality, I am divine, and there's no difference between me and Swami, the way I act will be completely different. I'm not going to be running after worldly things. I'm not going to fancy objects of the senses. When that maturity in my intellect comes, I will automatically behave in a certain way, right? But what Swami is doing to us is, he is giving us the truth which we can hold as our compass in life. We know that that is where we have to get. We are not stuck in the world just trying to be a better person, which is very important, by the way, not taking that away. But that is not the end of the journey. My journey does not stop with me being the best son or best husband or the best employer or the best employee. My journey is more than that. To kind of give us that elevated purpose in life, Swami steps in and Swami says, this is what it is. It might make no sense to me at this point in time. For many devotees, it might not make any sense. When you come to Swami and you pray for, oh, Swami, I've not had a child for 15 years. Please bless me with a child. You and Swami are one makes no sense to that devotee. A devotee who is praying for someone's life, who is struggling for, suffering from cancer, this truth means nothing, right? But in this journey, the Swami makes a very, very beautiful and profound statement in one of his Samako's discourses. I always go back to that, and I find that the essence of what I'm trying to convey. Swami says, your body gets dirty every day, right? When we live through our life, the 24 hours, at the end of the day, the body gets dirty. What do? You have a bath. The bath cleanses the physical body. Swami says the mind also requires cleansing. You cleanse the mind with the truth. Just as you cleanse the body with water, you cleanse the mind with truth. And that truth is what Swami says, that you and I are one. So even though it is not a reality I've already achieved, it is not a understanding and insight that I've gained already, it becomes very, very useful. I always go back to this beautiful episode narrated by a devotee who came to Swami in the early years, the 40s and 50s. So one day Swami had called her for an interview, and Swami was conversing with her, and Swami asked her, do you have problems in life? So she said, yes, Swami, I have a family. So it's understood I have a lot of problems. I have 2 children. I have a husband and a family to take care of. Then Swami asked her, then what do you do? How do you deal with your problems? She said, Swami, you should tell me how to do that. That's why I come to you, right? You shouldn't be asking me this question. I should be asking you, help me deal with the problems that I have. So then Swami asked her, have you ever had this experience that you're going through some unpleasantness in a dream? You're experiencing something very, very unpleasant in a dream. She said, yes, Swami, I've had bad dreams and nightmares like that. Swami asked her, when do you realize that it's a dream? When does the understanding come that it's a dream? She thought for some time and she said, Swami, when I wake up. Swami said, yeah, isn't that so? When you wake up, you realize that what you had been experiencing was only a dream. The dream could have been pleasant, unpleasant, painful, harrowing, whatever it is. But when you wake up, a dream is just a dream. Everything in it was part of the dream. Swami tells her, your life right now is a dream. And one day you will wake up from it. That's a guarantee, right? Swami says every Jivatma has to become perfect finally. That's the destiny of every individual soul. So Swami tells this devotee, one day you're going to wake up from this dream and then you'll realize that, my role as a mother, I was struggling with my finances and I had this problem in the body. And Swami said, you'll realize that everything is part of the dream. But your advantage is, Swami has come to you and has given you this truth that this is just a dream, even when you are in the dream. And in psychology, that is called lucid dreaming. There's actually a term for that. It's called lucid dreaming. That is when you're having a dream, that thought occurs in the dream that it's just a dream. You don't have to worry about it. And when that thought occurs, they say that that person can have the worst of dreams, but they will just be looking at it like how you watch a movie, not being involved. So Swami was telling this devotee, your advantage is Swami has come to you in this dream and given you this truth that this is just a dream. So when you have problems in life, recall this truth that this is just a dream and one day I will wake up from it. And now when you look at it, that's why Swami says life is a dream, realize it. Swami doesn't say life is a dream, wake up from it. Because one day we will wake up, whether we want it or not. But to realize that it's a dream while we are in the dream, I think that is the greatest blessing that Swami gives us in the form of this truth, that I am not this body. I can have any number of ailments in this body, but I'm not this body. My mind can be not as intelligent as anybody else is. My mind can have all the other problems, but I'm not this mind. That truth, before we have attained it, given to us at this stage in life, even while we are a sadhaka, I think it is a gift to us to sail through the problems that will invariably come. And talking about the idea of moksha, there's another very beautiful episode. If I have the time, I'll just quickly narrate that. This again happened in one of the sessions that Swami was giving to us as a class. We were all sitting around Swami. And Swami said, if you have any questions, you can ask. To be honest, I actually dozed off when this interaction was happening. So it was a program that we had put together for Swami. And believe it or not, we had worked the whole night. And finally, when we sat in front of Swami, we slept when Swami was speaking. Fortunately, there were a few of those boys who were sitting in front of Swami who paid attention. So they came back and told us this. So even though I was there in person, going back to the idea of nearness is not good enough, I was sitting there right in front of Swami, but I didn't hear one word of this whole interaction that happened, which was so beautiful, which I got to know from one of my classmates later. So this classmate of mine asked Swami this very beautiful question. He said, Swami, you're most compassionate. Your kindness for everyone is equal. And you say the highest is moksha. The highest is liberation. So this student asked Swami, Swami, why don't you give it to everyone? Why do you not give liberation or moksha to everyone? Because you're most compassionate. Why should you hold it back from some and give it to some? So Swami heard this question, and I don't know what Swami said after that. But Swami looked around and Swami picked another student who was there seated in the same gathering. And Swami asked him, boy, what do you want? So this boy got up, and this whole conversation was happening in Telugu. And the boy whom Swami picked up was a boy who did not understand Telugu. So he did not understand what was happening between the student, the question about moksha and all of that. All he knew was Swami suddenly looked at him and said, what do you want? So this boy got up and said, Swami, I want another birth. He said, Swami, I want to be born again. And Swami asked him, you want to be born again? Why? And this boy said, Swami, I always wanted to serve my country by being in the army. I always felt that I should, give my life for my country. I wanted to be in the army. He said, Swami, this birth I've become a student of Swami. I lost that opportunity. So he said, Swami, I want one more birth so that I can join the army and serve my motherland. Swami said very noble thought, and Swami blessed him and made him sit. Then Swami turned to the student who asked the question about why don't you give moksha to everyone? And then Swami said, see, this is what is called asking coffee powder from the Kalpavriksha. And then Swami said, you have no right to ask for others. Each one will have to come with their own understanding and come and tell me, Swami, I want this. And even that other story that you narrated of that lady who's saying that I wanted liberation. See, the other disadvantage of knowing the truth. I spoke of the advantage of knowing the truth within the dream. The disadvantage is, when you just read in a book or when you just hear in a discourse that liberation is the highest that you can get, that becomes one of the things in a wish list. It is not coming out of wisdom. It is not coming out of true viveka and vairagya, as Swami says. It is just something we fancy. Just like how we fancy other things that we don't understand. Right? We always fancy things that we don't completely know. I often say this about a lot of tourist destinations in the world. Till we reach the tourist destination, we see pictures and we read about it and we are so fascinated by it. Finally, we end up in front of that tourist destination, we'll feel so underwhelmed. It is not as fancy as it seemed, as it was marketed. Right? I think all our desires in life are like that. We fancy them, and a point will come when we will experience them and we will see their emptiness. Be it money, be it power, be it relationships. Everything is a fancy till we achieve it. And when we achieve it, I feel we will understand the emptiness of what it is. And when we see the emptiness in everything in this world, one day we will have that perfect vairagya, that perfect detachment. We will go to Swami and say, Swami, I want liberation. I want moksha. Because I have discovered that there is nothing in this world that can give me happiness. And that day, I think we are ready for receiving that from Swami. But till that happens, we have to go through this journey of slowly experiencing everything. We have to experience the world and experience the hollowness of this world. And that is what each one of us is doing in the pursuits that we are undergoing. And the presence of an avatar in the life, the presence of a Sadguru, enables this process so much that today you can be experiencing a pleasure, and in the middle of the pleasure, you're actually aware and open to the hollowness of that pleasure. As you're experiencing it, you say that, oh, is this what I craved for? Is this what I actually fancied? The ability to think of that when you're going through that pleasure, I think, is a gift of the avatar, gift of the Sadguru. The Guru has made us sensitive to experience the hollowness of this world as we experience the world. And eventually, I think we'll come to a point where we'll say, Swami, I've tasted it all. There is no taste in this world. There is no joy in this world. There is no happiness in this world. I am ready to receive what you have come to give. And I think that point, Swami says, yes, now I'll give you what I've come to give. So as a devotee, I should not point at another devotee and say that, oh, these are silly things to ask from Swami. I think I don't have the authority to say that. I often make this statement because of this, the ideas that we have in our mind. We think that we come to Swami and we should ask only spiritual things. No, you can ask him anything. The relationship that you have with Swami is that of a mother and a child. You can ask him anything. But even as we are asking for that, as you rightly said, at the back of our mind, we should always have this, Swami, what is it that you actually came to give? What is it that you're really here to give? I hope I'm maturing towards that. And I think then this journey will be fruitful, right? for having discovered Swami, for having found Swami in our life, then it is fruitful. Otherwise, we have found another beautiful possession in our life. That's all it is. And I think that mistake we shouldn't do. That is my personal fear. I always think of it that way, that I should not lose this opportunity. Hopefully, we all are traveling towards that.
Very, very beautiful, Brother Prem. That was so wonderful. And the way you explained it, I think it was life-changing and creates a different perception of how we should view life. And, coming back to this dream state, when you go to sleep, as you said, you dream and you begin to experience all the emotions of the dream, whether it's fear or joy and happiness. But the moment you wake up, you realize that it's just a dream. But then you wake up into another dream. And as you said, the grace of Swami to know and realize that it is a dream is such a blessing, because then you begin to view and interact with life so differently. So that's such a powerful lesson for all of us. So, Brother Prem, you mentioned a little bit in your answer about fear. And when you look around in the society today, it is one of the most prevalent qualities that is dominating man. Fear of losing a job, fear of debt, fear of losing money, fear of losing a position, fear of losing a child, fear of losing a loved one. There's so much of fear that is crippling man to the point where it affects his behavior in such a damaging way. And it has escalated in the light of the COVID situation as well. So much more fear there now of economic loss, and so much debt has happened. So on the spiritual path, this can have a crippling effect on our spiritual development. Swami says, why fear when I am here? So against that background, can we have a little discussion about this fear and how can one navigate it with that statement of Swami, why fear when I am here?
Absolutely. As you rightly said, invariably, whenever we go and interact with youngsters, we interact with devotees, a question that often comes, I've been asked this question at least 2 or 3 times in the last 1 month: how to overcome fear? How do we get rid of fear? And it's very, very dangerous to operate with fear. There is a beautiful statement in one of the Upanishads, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where it gives a very simple definition for fear. It says, Dvitiyat vai bhayam bhavati. It means as long as there is duality, there will be fear. Because you have another to be scared of. You will completely become fearless only when you reach the state of non-dualism, the state of oneness. So what that means is, till that point, we have to manage fear. We will have to find ways to deal with fear. And when you talk of it from the point of view of Swami's devotees, see, one of the main problems that we have, or main reasons for fear, is the fear of the unknown. We don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. Right? That's what was magnified through the pandemic. We all know that the only certainty in life is death. Right? I think everyone knows that. All of us know that one day this body is going to drop dead. But when that uncertainty of tomorrow came in, when what if that death is going to come to me tomorrow, Or what if that death is going to come to a near one, a dear one in the immediate future? So which means that the uncertainty of the unknown, when it starts staring at your face, that's when you're really scared. You have youngsters who are just going into a career under the grip of fear. You have a lot of people who are going into, let's say, a treatment for an ailment with fear, because you don't know what is going to come out of it. There are any number of ways in which Swami actually reduces this fear. I think we'll not have the time to go through all of them, but I will just mention a couple of ones which I think all of us as Swami's devotees can recognize in our own lives. One of the ways is when you start thinking that whatever is that uncertainty is, it is in Swami's hand. I may not know what it is, but I know that it is in safe hands. As a youngster, if someone says that I don't know my career, but I know it is in Swami's hands. It may or may not be the way I envision it, but I think Swami is taking good care of it, and he will reveal it to me in good time. So that automatically lowers our anxiety about the unknown. The feeling that there is someone who knows. I may not know, but there is someone who knows, and I trust that someone. In our case, it is Swami. Or when you're going through a very difficult phase in your life. I often give this example. Let us say I go to a doctor and I'm having some particular headache or some ailment. I go to a doctor and the doctor gives me a medicine. And I take the medicine after dinner and I wake up the next morning with very, very bad stomach pain. So the first thing is we are scared, right? You've got it's an unnatural state of you having a pain in the body. So you immediately call up the doctor and you say that, this is what happened. I took the medicine. I'm having stomach pains in the morning. And let's say the doctor says, oh, it's good you're having stomach pains. It means the medicine is working. The moment the doctor tells me that, I'm actually relieved because I have now come to see purpose in my pain. The pain is still there. It's still troubling me. But the moment I see purpose in my pain, the pain becomes acceptable. In the same way, I think whatever we are going through in life, there is a purpose to it. I don't know what the purpose is, but I know that there is someone who knows. And I can trust him. That automatically, I think, lowers my anxiety about the present and the future. Right? And I feel that is one of the great ways in which Swami is removing that fear from all our lives. Simply put, one of my teachers had made this statement once. Swami has done a lot of charitable work and social projects, the hospitals, the water projects, and all of that. But one of the greatest service that Swami has done to society, which is not spoken about enough, is the amount of peace of mind that Swami has given to thousands of parents by accepting their children as his students. As parents, whoever is listening, you will know that one of the sources of enormous anxiety for us is the future of our parents. Thousands of parents have entrusted their wards, daughters or sons in Swami's care, and they've actually forgotten about that pain. They have a feeling, okay, now you're a Swami student, I don't have to worry about you anymore. The same thing is applicable to every one of our lives. The moment we have given our future to Swami, we have to stop worrying about it. We actually don't have to worry about it. Whether we worry or we don't worry, Swami is taking care of it. But as Swami would say, when the train is going to carry the luggage, why do you insist on carrying it on your head? Right? Swami would give that analogy of that simpleton who goes into the train and he says, "Why burden the train? I will carry it on my head." So when we have come to Swami, when we have entrusted our life to him, you can worry if that fancies you, but actually you don't have to worry. You don't have to be scared, because the unknown is not known to you, but it is known to someone whom you can trust. The other way in which Swami has instilled this fear, when I look at my own life or the life of a lot of other people, sometimes you have to experience it to know that after all, it was not so bad. Right? And Swami lets us go through certain experiences that we were scared of in a very controlled environment. Swami puts us through the fire with him being next to us. And when you come out of that fire, you look at it and say, okay, it was not all that bad after all. So the next time the same experience comes and confronts you, you're not as scared as before. And that comes from confidence, isn't it? That's the confidence and the self-confidence that we're talking about. So what I was telling you right in the beginning, the grace of Swami, one is he helps you from outside. That gives you the feeling that I don't have to be really scared. If anything goes wrong, Swami will step in. The other is the courage that Swami gives from within. That wisdom that he has built into us, that you look at difficulties and you say, okay, it's another one, it can come, we will face it. It's not going to be all that bad. And as you rightly pointed out, this removes the stress from the mind. Right? The whole idea is to go through life doing the right things, making the right choices, discriminating clearly. And we will not be able to discriminate clearly if we are under stress, if we are under anxiety. So that is why one of the greatest gifts that Swami gives every devotee that comes to him is what Swami calls the Abhaya Hasta, right? The pose that is there in the picture behind you. Swami would call that blessing post as Abhaya Hasta, which means the gift of fearlessness. If you ask what is that one single greatest gift that Swami gives every devotee that comes into his fold, it is this gift of fearlessness. And these are just two of the ways by which Swami says, when he says, why fear when I'm here? This is what it is. If we still fear, either we have not come to understand that Swami is here, or many of us, we feel that, Swami is the great God who can take care of the whole universe, but my problems, I know better. I think some of us are in that silliness and innocence still. The Lord who can take care of the whole cosmos can very well take care of your affairs too. The moment I start remembering that, I find fear to be a very superfluous thing. There is no place for that in our life.
Brother Prem, thank you very much for those very beautiful statements, very encouraging, comforting ways of dealing and overcoming fear. And I'm sure that every single viewer who looks at this video will be comforted and have a much better understanding of Swami's teachings through this wonderful interview. It has been an absolute pleasure and honor having this discussion with you, this question and answer, that has also brought a lot of appeasement to myself and brought about clarity and understanding in various aspects of Swami's teachings. And for that, I thank Swami for you. So the Sri Satya Sai Global Council of Trinidad and Tobago wishes to express gratitude and appreciation to you for taking the time to share your personal journey, your perspective on the life, the birth, and the teachings of our beloved Mother Sai. May Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba continue to bless and guide you, and may you continue to be the loving instrument you are as his mission unfolds. Jai Sai Ram.
I most humbly offer this at Swami's lotus feet. Thank you for the opportunity. As I always say, I think the greatest blessing is Swami not only is allowing us to be a very, very, very tiny part of his mission. The mission is so large, you're a small part in that. But being a part of that mission means life to you, right? The ability to think of him, the ability to talk of him. It's a blessing that I think any number of lifetimes of offering to Swami is not going to be any match to this blessing that Swami has given us. So I thank the Swami in each one of you. Thank the Swami in you, Brother Faiz, for this opportunity to reflect on Swami's message. And as I was doing that, I think Swami was talking to me too. So it is not merely about me telling what I think I know, what Swami feels I should also remember. So thank you very, very much for that. I offer this at Swami's feet.